You're listening to ARC Advisory Group's The Sustainability Podcast, where we explore how artificial intelligence, industrial sustainability, logistics, supply chains, and smart cities are shaping the future. In every episode, we talk with industry leaders who are finding practical ways to create more sustainable solutions. Whether you're a business professional or just curious, these conversations will give you fresh ideas on how to reduce environmental impact while improving efficiency. From smart technologies to rethinking supply chain strategies, there's always something new to learn. If you'd like to go further and make a real difference, be sure to connect with ARC Advisory Group. Our expertise can help your organization adopt cutting-edge sustainability strategies that drive both innovation and results. Don't miss the chance to stay ahead and make meaningful changes for a more sustainable future.
Recording live from the ARC studios, welcome to the Sustainability Podcast. Our goal is to provide engaging discussions on a broad range of topics regarding cybersecurity, sustainability, supply chain management, plus much more. For more information and to get into contact with us, visit us at arcweb.com.
Welcome to today's episode of the ARC Sustainability Podcast, where we dive deep into the world of sustainability and the energy transition, exploring the innovations and challenges that shape our energy future. I'm your host, Harry Forbes of ARC Advisory Group, and today I have a special guest with me, Domenico Napoli, who is Future Offers Leader from Schneider Electric. Domenico will be discussing the future of green hydrogen production and how open automation can help speed this along. Domenico, thanks very much for joining me.
Hi, Harry. It's a pleasure to be here.
Domenico, could you please introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your work at Schneider Electric?
Sure, Harry. So as you said, my name is Domenico Napoli. I'm the Future Offers Leader at Schneider Electric. My main focus is in the continuous process type of applications. My expertise is in the automation space. I've been in the industrial automation space for over 20 years, and I really focus on understanding our customer needs and the new segments and the new market segments, and how can we help our customers achieve their goals by building solutions that make them more sustainable and make them more effective.
Domenico, could you, just to start off, could you give us a brief overview of green hydrogen? What is it that makes green hydrogen green?
Sure, Harry. So, we do have the three different type of hydrogens, right? We have the gray hydrogen, the blue hydrogen, and then the green hydrogen. Basically, some of the items that make green hydrogen green is the energy source that's being used. So we definitely want to use a renewable power source, whether it's wind, whether it's solar. We want to make sure that the power source that we're using is a renewable energy source. Then we take that energy and we take purified water. So there's typically a water treatment plant that's very close to or part of the hydrogen production facility. And we use that water and pass it through an electrolysis process to separate the oxygen and the hydrogen. And there's a lot of other components, of course, that are included. But basically, once we do this separation of oxygen and hydrogen, we recuperate the hydrogen and then we transport it to the different end uses that it might be used for, whether that's in the industry space and in other power generation or even for heating your homes.
Okay, well, you've described the value chain there from electricity production through electrolysis, water treatment, storage, and distribution. And what is Schneider Electric? What parts of that value chain does Schneider Electric cover?
So we cover pretty much end to end. We definitely have different solutions starting from the renewable power generation. We definitely have capabilities to automate the power generation. We also help our customers with purchasing agreements, with net power purchasing agreement services, with the substations. Yeah, when we're looking at the substations, we have tools like plant design tools, 3D design. We have software. We have medium voltage and low voltage distribution. We're also capable of doing modularized packages and e-houses. In the water treatment and in the green hydrogen production facility, we have sensors, we have field devices, we have field instrumentation, we have the automation solution, the software, the SCADA software on top of that, and all the optimization software as well. And in the end use, we have deep application knowledge in the different end uses where we can leverage the hydrogen that's being produced. We have remote process automation capabilities, again, power generation, just like at the beginning. And also we can support with plant design and optimization through the various different portfolio offers that we have within Schneider Electric.
Okay. Well, you've got your ear to the ground in this industry, which is just starting to emerge. What do you see as the major challenges, Domenico, that are facing the industry now as it seeks to grow?
Well, there are a couple that I can see that are pretty key and pretty close to home when it comes to green hydrogen. We definitely have this need to be more sustainable. As we can see from, different organizations like Climate Watch, last year they mentioned that the electricity and the heat sector accounted for nearly 2 tons of carbon dioxide per capita being produced. So again, green hydrogen is there to help us minimize that. There's definitely the need to embrace digital transformation. We have other reviews found from the Harvard Business Review that there was over 50% of Fortune 500 companies that have either gone bankrupt or been acquired or even closed and ceased their operation because of the digital disruption that we're going through right now in the industrial automation space or in the world in general, right? There's definitely, we've always had this need to be more efficient and resilient, right? Especially when it comes to cybersecurity nowadays. There's definitely a lot more cyber attacks and cyber criminals out there. So we definitely need to be more robust, more agile, more cyber secure when it comes to our efficiency and resiliency solutions. And there's definitely the workforce, the next generation workforce that is part of the industry as a whole. There's decades of knowledge that's being potentially lost. So we need to find ways to transfer this knowledge to leverage the existing workforce that's there. And definitely there's digital tools and the digital world that's going to help us to achieve that. But also the solutions that we need to build for our customers and our users need to be more future ready, need to be more according to the digital world, because the new generation coming in is already familiar with these digital tools and they use them in their everyday life. So they're like, well, we need to also use these, or why not are we using these in the industrial automation space?
This is something we hear, Domenico, in many industries nowadays. And one thing that I'm a little more familiar with than hydrogen industry is the technology for open industrial automation systems. And can you tell me about how they are simplifying the plants, the hydrogen plants? What's their application in hydrogen, and how do they help you reduce cost and risk?
Well, now you're touching my heart, Harry. I'm really into this software-defined automation, and specifically because it's so close to the automation space, which I've been in my whole career. There's a lot of different items that software-defined automation or open automation systems can bring to our users. Definitely the vendor lock approach, or the uniqueness of hardware components to a specific vendor, or even the uniqueness of all the different packages to a specific vendor in the current ways of automating today, don't allow us to be as agile and as adapt to applying or integrating the new digital solutions that are out there in the world. So going into this more open automation type of space will allow us to be more open across multiple different vendors, play nice with each other, so to speak, right? And communicate with each other easily. Also, we've lived through the supply chain challenges over the past couple of years, and COVID and everything that we've done over the last 5 years, let's say, have really forced us to think differently when it comes to industrial automation. So having a vendor lock or vendor specific solution that It's difficult to interact with other vendors, especially when you can't get hardware or you can't get components or you can't send somebody to site to optimize or to keep the plant up and running. This world of open automation helps us solve those solutions, helps us break down those barriers. And one of the added benefits of this is the long-term obsolescence issues. So having a more open system will allow us to adapt more technology quicker, but also across multiple different vendors that may develop this new technology for the industrial automation space. With an open automation solution, you can easily integrate those new technologies as they become available in the market.
Okay, well, one of the organizations that Schneider Electric has been very active in is the universalautomation.org. Can you explain, that's a portability organization. Can you explain a little bit about what that is just briefly and why Schneider's involved?
Sure. Universalautomation.org is a nonprofit organization, and their main goal is to enable portable automation software that's also interoperable and flexible when it comes to architectures and different vendors. They provide a shared source runtime engine, so the actual software that's running the control of your operations, or the control of your automation systems. They're making that available to its members in a shared source format. So all members of universalautomation.org have access to this software, and leveraging this software, this technology inside an automation vendor solution will allow us to be interoperable and portable when it comes to the control strategies or the control application that's being developed, so that you can develop your control application once without the need to understand, one, how the architecture, the physical hardware architecture is, but also who is providing the various components of that physical architecture. Because as long as we stay within that universal automation family, you can take portions of your automation control strategy and deploy to multiple different vendor hardwares. And those solutions, even though they're multiple different vendors, can communicate to each other seamlessly without the need for gateways or protocol conversions. It's all as if they're one big happy family.
Okay. There's an interesting point that there's several prominent engineering universities in Europe that are part of this organization too, and they're training their students or using it in the development of their students. I find that very interesting. Let's go back to cost and agility. Can you give me a couple of examples of how this open automation technology can reduce cost and risk in the industry, in the hydrogen industry?
So when we're talking about costs and risk, I want to focus specifically on the automation solution, because we know that the green hydrogen industry as a whole has a lot of challenges when it comes to cost compared to the blue hydrogen or the gray hydrogen. But when we focus on the automation area of the green hydrogen process, leveraging technologies like universalautomation.org and going into this more software-defined automation space and open automation solutions, allows us to minimize the amount of components that are needed in order for the different automation solutions to talk to each other. Today, we need to be honest with ourselves, right? It's extremely rare where we have one automation vendor for all of the different automation needs that a specific site or a specific customer has. More often than not, they will be using different automation vendors for different areas of their process or different areas of their plant. When all of these automation solutions are based on the universal automation technology, now we have that added simplicity to the automation space, that we can look at automation as a whole versus individual islands of automation. And when you have those individual islands of automation across multiple different vendors, if you're not using the universalautomation.org technology, each of these automation systems will need a gateway on each side. So that's extra hardware, extra physical space, extra energy consumption, extra maintenance in the long run, extra costs. But not only from
extra engineering as well.
Well, that's it. Exactly.
I've engineered a few of those in my time. That's certainly true.
Exactly. So extra engineering, extra protocol conversion, extra software, all of that adds more complexity, adds longer timelines, because as soon as you make a change, you've been executing projects, right, Harry? So how many times do you have a perfect data source when you start building your automation project, right? How many times when you get to FAT or even at commissioning or startup at site, something changes? And when you have all of these gateways in between, you need to keep in mind that whole data flow, right? Okay, I've added the data here. Now I need to go and update that gateway, but that gateway is talking to this vendor, and I need to go and update the data in that vendor as well, right? So there's just adding one more piece of information. When you're looking at a process or an automation solution, you can have to replicate that information 5, 6, 7, exponentially amount of times, depending on how many different solutions you have on site. With universal automation and leveraging all of this technology, you basically update it once and then that's it. You're done, right? Everybody talks to each other. Everybody sees that data. So it's a lot simpler and a lot easier when last minute changes happen, but also in the long run of your facility, right? How many times there's a shift change or certain people leave the plant site and new people come in, and they need to go and make some modifications, and then trying to make those modifications throughout every single automation vendor honestly becomes a nightmare for some end users.
Yes, in automation, really, I think a lot of folks feel that greater interoperability and scalability is going to be important for maintaining, as you mentioned, competitiveness and effectiveness. What do you see as a key component in terms of interoperability and scalability? How are they going to help people remain competitive in this industry and others?
There was a study that was done, I'm not sure if it was last year or the year before, from Omdia. And in there was an interesting piece of data that came out where 95% of the respondents said that when they're now starting to select new control systems, interoperability was one of the most important items that they look at when selecting a new control system. And it's normal, right? It's with these new digital tools, with these new ways of working that we're living in these days, interoperability becomes a key component because of, like we've mentioned earlier, all the different complexities that non-interoperable systems bring to the table. Within Schneider Electric, we've taken this to heart, and we're one of the we are a founding member of universalautomation.org, and we definitely use that technology inside of a lot of our software component, a lot of our hardware components. Mm-hmm. But we've also developed an engineering tool that's called EcoStruxure Automation Expert. And within this tool, you can develop your control strategy, like we mentioned earlier, without needing to understand how the hardware is laid out or even which vendor is producing that hardware, as long as they're a part of universalautomation.org. So now we have truly achieved, with the combination of Schneider Electric and Automation Expert and universalautomation.org, the shared source runtime engine, we've truly achieved that portability and interoperability across multiple different vendors. And this also enhances our scalability, because now we can start from very small applications, and that's the value of having a multi-vendor system with universal automation. You can go from very, very small with very, very fast type of equipment, or fit for purpose equipment, maybe smaller size, maybe not as protected or conformally coded, because you're not in one of those areas, but you have the flexibility now to go and choose other components depending on your process area that makes sense for that specific application that you need to automate.
Okay, it's kind of a new world in software-defined automation in terms of portability, and also you mentioned kind of greater hardware independence. Not knowing where or even what kind of devices are going to be on the end and who's going to be manufacturing them. Let's go back to the value chain that you talked about earlier, Domenico, and just can you talk about some of the customers that you are serving in this market? Tell us a little bit about your customers and where they fit into the value chain and what they're doing.
Yes, Harry. So, when we're looking at the green hydrogen process, like we mentioned at the beginning of our session together, we definitely are looking at end users, whether the end user is a power generation end user or the water treatment plant that's providing the purified water to the green hydrogen plant or the hydrogen plant itself. But even the end users that are looking at using that hydrogen that's being produced for their various needs, we can provide the automation solutions and much more for all of those end user use cases. But in addition to that, because we are now more scalable and more flexible and more interoperable and open, we're working a lot more with electrolyzer manufacturers or skid package vendors and even rectifier manufacturers to include the automation inside their electrolyzer, so it's pretty much plug and play when it gets to site. Again, minimizing all that level of complexity that's needed to interoperate all these systems together.
Okay. Well, this has been a really interesting discussion, Domenico, and interesting an industry that's very interesting, especially because it's just beginning to emerge. Could you put into a nutshell kind of the overall message or takeaway that you are trying to share here? What would you think is an overall message on open automation and green hydrogen?
Yeah, sure, Harry. Nice challenge there. When we're looking at from Schneider Electric, we definitely want to enable our customers to meet all of their automation needs, and we can do this through a single, scalable, and software-defined industrial automation solution, and within the same environment. We also help our customers by providing a single open platform that will give them the agility and the flexibility that they need to be competitive, while at the same time simplifying the engineering and all the effort that goes in the engineering of the control strategies for this next generation workforce that we talked about a little bit earlier. And all this with the goals to overall simplify the overall process, but also the operations and the maintenance once the plant gets turned on.
Okay. Well, I hope you'll come back again sometime and contribute to this podcast again, Domenico, and tell us some more about how the industry is progressing. I really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you, Harry. I would love to.
Okay, well, we'll have you on again sometime. Thanks very much for being here. This is Harry Forbes from ARC Advisory Group, and you've been listening to the ARC Sustainability Podcast, where we've been talking with Domenico Napoli from Schneider Electric about automation for green hydrogen. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for tuning in to the Sustainability Podcast. Today, we explored how artificial intelligence, logistics, supply chains, and smart cities are revolutionizing sustainability efforts across industries. Now's the time to take what you've heard and start implementing those changes in your work. Please share this episode with others who are passionate about building a better future and keep the momentum going. For those looking to go deeper, ARC Advisory Group offers unparalleled guidance in developing and executing sustainability strategies. Please reach out to us for expert insights and support that can help you turn these ideas into action and to lead your organization towards a more sustainable path.